be a victorious spiritual warrior. Now, it's a very, very powerful topic. And I was really thinking that before we think about victory, let's first think if we are a spiritual warrior in the first place. And really reflect and ask yourself if you are a spiritual warrior. If you are okay with how your life is, with struggles, with a feeling of lack, with imperfections, with negativity, and you don't want to do anything about it, then we are not yet a spiritual warrior. But if we want to do something about it, then we become a spiritual warrior. So really ask yourself where you stand, if you are wanting to do something about it. And when you're wanting to do something about it, it is then you are ready, you are willing to take conscious steps to do something about it. And then we can talk about victory or failure. Also, once we are clear in our minds that we want to change our life, we want to do something, and we are a spiritual warrior, the next question is that what are we fighting and why are we fighting? So, Paramhansa Yogananda says that we, each one of us, are made in the image of God, and this, those of you who are here would have heard it millions of times. But what does that mean? It means that if God is perfection, we are also made with that same perfection. We are all perfect human beings. But how many of us are really there and are feeling that we are perfect human beings? And what this perfection means is that we only have positives. We don't have a feeling of lack. We don't get even one negative thought. We don't do any negative actions. We don't have any bad habits. So we have only positives. So let us reflect and see if we are there. And if we are not there, that means we are still not feeling that we are perfect as God has made us. Then we have no choice but to fight. And we are actually fighting our imperfections, our bad habits that we have gathered through incarnations. And why don't we have a choice but to fight? Why are we fighting this battle? Again, Paramhansa Yogananda, in his teachings, he says that like attracts like. If we have negatives in us, we are going to attract negative from outside. We will attract pain, sorrow, struggle as long as we are having these negatives in us. So until we change it, until we perfect ourselves that only positives remain, and when only positives remain, we have become a perfect human being. And so until we change it, he says, we will not get happiness. Permanent, temporary, he says we will not get happiness. So if we really want happiness, and we all want to be happy, then we actually have no choice but to fight this battle. And we have to become a spiritual warrior. Paramhansa Yogananda says, oh, just 1 minute, I've got the wrong page. Sorry. Paramhansa Yogananda says that you are made in the image of God. You can never find happiness in anything because nothing is complete except God. When we are perfect beings, we are complete within ourselves. We don't feel any lack or negativity. And he says God is the only thing which is complete. anything else is not going to give us happiness, because our happiness lies in feeling complete and perfect. He also says, the only way to destroy your imperfections is to unite your isolated consciousness with God. This is the only way to change, to become victorious. And Jesus Christ also says here that the grand method of killing bad habits lies in the actual performance of God awakening good habits of meditation. Hence, meditation is our only savior. Meditation is the only thing that is going to give us this freedom, that is going to make us what we truly are, that is going to give us victory in this battle. There is no other way, these masters are saying, who have done it, and so they know it, what they are saying. Meditation is the only thing. Now, when we know that meditation is the only thing to become victorious, there are certain qualities which Paramhansa Yogananda really recommends that we should have to become a victorious warrior, to assure our victory. And one of the things he says is that we should have very strong willpower. So he says here, the greater the willpower, the less will be the enslaving influence of your bad habits. The greater the willpower, the less will be the enslaving influence of your bad habits. That means if more powerful is our will, we are not going to be overpowered very easily by our bad habits. And he often used to say that if I have no job, and if I really want a job, he says, I would shake the whole world until the universe gives me that. Only then will I be quiet. So he says that if you have decided to do something, if you have determined to do something, then go for it even if it kills you. So really that kind of willpower he's talking about. And if we have decided that we will meditate every morning, get up at 6:30, then we have to show up on our meditation mat. And until we do it, he says, never give up. Never give up until you succeed. So until we make it happen, we keep at it and we don't give up. And that is the surest way to have a sure victory. Our willpower, not giving up no matter what. If you have decided, just do it. Another thing that Paramhansa Yogananda really says is we need for assured victory in this fight. He says, the man of realization walks where the bullets fly with the divine will behind it. The man of realization walks where the bullets fly with the divine will behind it, which means is that when you are the spiritual warrior, you are really ready for anything, to face anything, because you know it is the divine will. It is coming from God. And also Paramhansa Yogananda says, what is divine will? Paramhansa Yogananda says that when your human will is tuned in with wisdom, then it is guided by divine will. That means when every action that we are taking it only because it is something we should be doing, which is helpful for us to do, and not because we want to do, not because we are habituated to do. Something that it is always wisdom guided. We should be doing, and when every action of ours becomes wisdom guided, that means it has the divine will behind it, then it is assured victory. We will not fail in this battle. Paramhansa Yogananda also says, the scientific way to live is to go within yourself and ask yourself whether you are doing right or wrong, and be absolutely sincere with it. He says, if you are sincere with yourself, you can never go wrong. And if you do, you will quickly correct yourself. He says that within us, in our conscience, if we go within and ask, we will always know what is the right thing to do. But how many of us really follow what we feel inside? We don't follow it. And he says, when you will follow this, every action guided by your wisdom, that means it is divine will, and when we do it, our victory is assured. And another thing that Paramhansa Yogananda says, the third quality, he says, is having complete faith and love for God. Sri Yukteswarji, who is the guru of Paramhansa Yogananda, he says that we cannot take even one step ahead in the spiritual path without awakening the natural love of the heart. And what does he mean by the natural love of the heart? So the heart, the soul, our soul, which is a part of the spirit, a part of God, it has come from God. So the natural love of the God, of our heart, of the soul, is God. The soul is a part of that spirit. The soul wants to go back, is attracted back, and wants to go back and unite with that spirit. And when the love is for other things, anything less than God, it is not the actual love of our heart. It is the love of our ego. It is not the love of our soul, because the love of our soul is only God. And until we awaken that actual love of our heart, we are not going to be victorious. He says we can't even take one step forward. We will only become a warrior when you want to merge back, when you want to become perfect again, when you want to realize what you truly are, what God has made you. And so to be victorious, these are a few things that Paramhansa Yogananda really says, having that unshakable willpower until you succeed. Don't let yourself down, just don't give up. And always, every action should be wisdom guided, and our faith and love in God has to be completely established to be a victorious spiritual warrior.
In the Gita, Krishna says, 1 in 1,000 starts a search for me. And out of that, thousands of people, only one actually makes an effort. And of all the thousands of people who makes an effort, only one person actually reaches me. So Sachi shared about how to be victorious, her area of expertise. I'm going to talk about the other people who were not my area of expertise. So Paramhansa Yogananda says that she has shared a few inspiring points on how to change a failure into victory and how to approach a failure. So, what if I don't have enough willpower? It is needed, but the problem is facing me, but I don't have the willpower. And what if I am not able to tune in to the wisdom of God? What should I do right now? Sometimes we go through experiences not because we are failing, but God is trying to make us more compassionate. There have been times when I have successfully crossed a spiritual challenge, but along with it has come a small pride. And God wants that to fix. God wants to fix that in me. So He puts me in a situation, and if I judge somebody else who's not so successful in the same aspect, then He puts me in that situation where I fail, and now I understand the other person's point of view, And now I'm able to develop a compassion to those people who have failed. In my own journey, when I was new to Ananda Sangha, many of them, and even today, many of them who come here for classes, they are very sure that Ananda is their home, Paramhansa Yogananda is their guru, and they have the discipline, willpower, and they go ahead and take Kriya within a year. That was not the case with me. I had all the doubts in the world about the organization, about is Paramhansa Yogananda my guru, and I did feel a connection, I did feel a home, but my conscious mind was not ready to agree or accept what I'm feeling. So, one by one, I asked the guidance of Paramhansa Yogananda. Each doubts I had, I offered it at his feet. And it took for me at least 2+ years for me to reach Kriya Yoga initiation from level 1. Now, when I was going through that process, I considered myself a spiritual failure, you might say, because I was not steadfast as others. But then it turns out that since I went through that journey, now I'm able to relate to anyone who is not able to be steadfast. I can meet them where they are. I can help them with extreme compassion and patience. Now, if I want, now I see why I went through that journey, because I have a better understanding. And how do you define victory? And what is failure? In spiritual terms, it is different from the material world. Now, Nayaswami Devi, who recently visited us, shared this story. When she was very new on the spiritual path, it was about 2 years or 2 months, I don't remember exactly, but when she started on the spiritual path, Swami was visiting Ananda village, and she was very young, and her whole life she wasn't sure if this is her path, but she did want to serve God, to see God throughout her life, but wasn't sure, will she be able to? How to be steadfast? So she asked this question, what is the one thing I should follow if I have to be steadfast and search God till the end of my life? And the Swami gave a beautiful answer, and which she shared. He said, do not compare yourself with others. Because if you compare yourself with others, each and every one, their journey is very, very individualistic, and it's kind of custom made according to their karma and their lessons. Somebody might be having a different set of challenges, and they might not face the challenges you face. That doesn't necessarily mean that the other person is more or less spiritually evolved than you, or they are not necessarily being spiritually victorious than you are. You have to compare yourself with who you were yesterday or the day before yesterday. Compete with yourself and do not compare yourself with others. So, without comparing with others, because the scales of victory or these parameters of how to define victory will change if you compare yourself with different people. And also, be clear in where you are. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Now, there is a devotee who, in Autobiography of Yogi, threw himself off the cliff as soon as Babaji said, I cannot accept you as a disciple at your current state. And he said, my life means nothing, and I will just jump off the cliff and end my life. And he did jump off the cliff. Can we do that? If I go to a cliff and say, dive head first and say, Babaji, save me, he wouldn't be there. We have to be very practical in our approach, where we are and where we want to be. And unless we develop that spiritual insight through sadhana, daily meditation, seva and satsang, we cannot even start evaluating our victory. And Paramhansa Yogananda said, gave an example that if you mix milk with water, it easily mixes with water. But butter floats on water. So your own consciousness should be refined through, again, sadhana, satsang, and seva, so that you can test yourself, test your spiritual progress, and then evaluate if you are victorious or not. What if I fail still? Paramhansa Yogananda again says that acceptance and even-mindedness during failure will make you a victorious person. Because usually when we fail, not just materially, even spiritually, when we fail, we make it into an affirmation. I have failed, oh, I am very bad, I have failed. And Paramhansa Yogananda says that a saint is a sinner who never gave up. So instead of lamenting and rolling on the floor crying, if you are able to stay calm, even-minded and cheerful when you face failure, you are still victorious in the eyes of God, because you are not identifying the failure with your ego. It is a process, and you can get up, dust yourself, and make more effort again. Swami Kriyananda shared a very beautiful story. He had a dream, and in that dream, all the monks were on a running race. They started running as soon as they said go, and every single monk fell on the floor, or to say they failed. But how they responded, what they did after they fell down, was different from monk to monk. Some just lay there, didn't get up. Some of them got up immediately, dusted themselves, started running again. Some of them took some time. So that is to say that there will be failures. There is no other way. That's what Krishna economics say. 999, all those people, we will fall, but it doesn't matter. As long as we are trying our best to be even-minded, cheerful, and if we are making effort again, we are successful, we are victorious. And I'll read these few lines from Bhagavad Gita. This is after the explanation Swami Kriyananda gives for verse 267. The spiritual seeker may find himself swept off his upward course by outward temptations through name, fame, power, self-importance, and a host of other ego-boosting delusions. Instead of agitating himself with guilt feelings and self-accusation, which can only increase his susceptibility to delusion, he should return calmly to his pre-established course. Mistakes on the path are always possible. The devotee should acknowledge them to himself, sincerely and openly, and then simply forsake them without making the further mistake of becoming upset with himself. And always, if you want to be victorious, you don't do the fight. Let God do the fight for you. The Navratris were over, and 9 days, Divine Mother was fighting demons in different forms. Did she ask the Devas who went and asked her to save them from the demons? Did she make the Devas fight? No. She fought on their behalf. But the victory everybody enjoys. If Krishna hadn't guided Arjuna in the battle of Kurukshetra, would the Pandavas have won the battle? Absolutely not. Swami Kriyananda was very logical person, and he was fully absorbed in his mind, and he wanted to develop his devotion. So Paramhansa Yogananda said, chant more and you will develop devotion. And Swami Kriyananda did make an effort. He chanted day and night regularly. And then he once heard Paramhansa Yogananda say to another group of disciples, look how I have changed Walter. Now, who did the work? Swami Kriyananda? Yes. But through chanting, who actually fought the battle? It was the Guru. So make them in charge. And what, even after making them in charge, if you fail again, you can still be victorious if you offer that failure to God and Gurus. Again, don't identify yourself with your mistake, because if you are offering your failure to God, you have transcended the ego, which is the true victory. So, Paramahansa Yogananda says that the failed yogi, despite the deep and unavoidable disappointment he feels with himself, is much greater as a human being than most successful materialist. A failed yogi is much better than a successful materialist. So long as you continue to make the effort, Yogananda said finally, God will never let you down. But if you tell yourself, I have failed, it will be true. So the victory is determined by your attitude and not the actual outcome. And always remember, saint is a sinner who never gave up. Thank you.